let's understand the benefits of the cloud. And along with that, we will also clarify some very important concepts of cloud. You will find these terms in almost every question of solution architect exam. Also, it will be very useful for your real world work as a solution architect. As usual, let's understand this by an example. Consider you are responsible for the smooth functioning of an online shopping app. Generally, a single machine is sufficient to serve your app users. But as Deepavali or other festivals are about to come, your organization is planning to introduce a Deepavali sale, and you know that a single machine won't be able to serve all app users. And according to your experience from the last year, 4 machines would be sufficient to serve all requests. So you need a way to add these 3 additional machines to handle all requests from your users. Or let's take another scenario where you want to increase the compute power like CPU or RAM of that single machine to handle all requests. Suppose you currently have 8 GB of RAM and Intel i3 processor computer, but you think a 32 GB RAM Intel i7 processor would be sufficient for your needs. In both the scenarios, if you have your own data centers, then you have to purchase these additional machines, additional RAM, or entirely new processor. The problem is not only that you have to purchase them, but the main problem arises when festivals are gone and now your new machines or resources are sitting idle and going completely to waste. They are of no use to you now. So you need the ability to decrease the quantity as well as the power of IT resources. I hope you are getting an idea about how you have to foresee various situations and find a solution as a solution architect. So to deal with all these requirements, the cloud come up with the concept of scalability. The ability to manually increase or decrease resources is known as scalability. Scalability is good for long-term planning, as you can plan when you have to increase the resources and when to decrease, according to whatever demand you are getting. With AWS, you can access as much as or as little capacity as you needed and scale up and down whenever required within a few minutes. Scalability can be categorized into two types, vertical scaling and horizontal scaling, where both can be categorized further. Vertical scaling can be of two types. When you have to add more computing power, that is CPU or RAM, to support the increased workload, it is known as scaling up. While when you are reducing the power, it is called scaling down. So next time your manager says to scale down or scale up, you know what they mean. Similarly, horizontal scaling can be categorized into two types. When you add virtual servers to support the increased workload, it means you are scaling in. While in case of decreased workload, when you are reducing your virtual machines, then you are scaling out. You can easily remember this by visualizing this slide that when you are increasing in number, you have to scale horizontally, and when you are increasing in power, you have to scale vertically. Let's take another scenario where you are responsible for an online video website. Generally, the website is not that popular and a single machine is sufficient to serve all web users. On one good day, a new video on the website went viral and it suddenly became popular. Now more visitors started coming to your website, and as the crowd started increasing, load on the server also started increasing, and your website started facing issues like it started longer time to load, it required multiple refreshes to load your website. We have seen these issues multiple time in our daily life. For example, back in my college days, whenever our university announced semester results, their website started hanging, and for the first 3 4 hours we could not see our results. Those were really difficult times. So as the video went super viral, more and more people were visiting our website in a short span of time. And due to this flash crowd, a single machine is no longer sufficient to serve all users. A scalable system cannot help me here as anyone don't know when the video is going to be viral. And scalability is a manual process, which is why it is suitable only for a predictable workload. Another scenario where scalability won't be useful for me is when I am working for a small organization or I am launching a new application. At that time, I don't know how many users will be there for my applications. And we need to make a capacity decision prior to deploying our application. Otherwise, I will end up sitting on expensive idle resources or dealing with the limited capacity. So we need a system that can automatically analyze the number of web users accessing our website and the resources requirement of the web server, like how much computing power will be sufficient to serve all users. Also, video is not going to remain viral for eternity, right? After some time, the website may become unpopular again. There may be more users than before, but not all users are going to come to our website. Basically, we want scalability, but that should happen automatically. The ability to automatically increase and decrease resources is known as elasticity. It is also known as auto scaling. It is helpful when you don't have any predictable workload and resources requirement fluctuating up and down suddenly. Also, one must note down that it is not practical to use elasticity over scalability, especially in scenarios where you know for sure that the requirement is going to increase or decrease. Just like you can take the example of any website where every Tuesday they are hosting a mega event, then you should schedule scalability for every Tuesday instead for going for auto scaling, as it may result in high cost as you have to pay more for auto scaling compared to pre-attemptive scaling. So let's summarize both of them. Elasticity is the ability to increase or decrease resources automatically to meet burst in capacity demand, while scalability is the ability to increase and decrease resources but manually to address more predictable and even planned demand and workload requirements. But another problem that may arise is when auto scaling does not happen fast enough to provision additional resources. Users can't wait for a website to load for a minute nowadays, and auto scaling slowly may result in huge loss of money, business, as well as reputation. So we need a system that can scale fast. The ability of resources to react quickly and easily is known as agility. In fact, it is not limited just to scaling. With the help of cloud, you can do everything related to application or website quickly. For example, it only takes a minute or two to create a virtual machine that is up and running with cloud. On the other hand, it can take up to days or weeks when we submit a request to purchase a physical server and get it delivered. Also, additional time is required to physically set up that server. With cloud, IT resources are only a click away, which means that you can reduce the time to make resources available to your developers from weeks to minutes. This dramatically helps organization because the cost and time it takes to experiment and develop is significantly lower. Moving to cloud also helps companies to optimize their IT cost because when you set up a physical data centers and servers, you need to worry about 24 by 7 electricity, air conditioning to cool down servers. You need huge space to place all the servers. You need huge network team to manage them, to physically fit all cables, checking all routers, a team to clean all data center, a pest control team who take care of servers from rats or pests, and various other teams you will be required. While with the cloud computing, you don't need to worry about all these costs, as cloud computing follows the pay-as-you-go model, which completely eliminates the capital expense of buying hardware and software and setting up and running the on-site data centers. Also, when we go to the wholesale market, we find things are much cheaper compared to a nearby market. That is because wholesale vendors purchase things in bulk, which cost them very little, so they have the capability to give us in cheap prices. Similarly, big cloud service providers like AWS have hundreds of thousands of customers around the world, so they can offer IT resources at low prices. Also, if I want private secure connectivity for my company network, I am not going to put down cables under Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, but AWS can. And in many ways, we can benefit from AWS massive economies of scale. Also, cloud promises that the resources offered by them will be highly available all the time. They generally offer SLA, basically a legal agreement that guarantees high availability of their resources. AWS generally offers 99.9% of availability on most of their resources. You can check yourself by going to AWS website. I will provide a link in the description. Also, cloud service providers guarantee their resources to be fault tolerant, which means they will be highly available even in the case of physical or service component failure. Like if the hard disk crash or router fails or anything wrong happens with the motherboard. In any of these cases, cloud resources are capable of avoiding any downtime. With the cloud, you can easily restore any resources in case of natural or man-made disasters, like flooding of data centers, fire accidents, terrorist attacks, or any war-like scenario. With cloud, you don't need to worry about anything, as they have global infrastructure connecting their hundreds of data centers around the world. This also makes going global super quick and easy. Even in the case of data privacy laws or any other government restriction, like you cannot take data out of the country, you can easily set up your resources in that country with the help of cloud at a very minimal cost. And usually as well, we set up resources near to our user base so that they face less delay or latency while accessing the application. AWS provide all these abilities and benefits with all their resources. Let's revise all these concepts in a minute. Scalability is the ability of a system to scale, basically means allocating and delocating resources to support the desired workload at any time. Elasticity is the ability to scale dynamically, that is auto scaling. Agility is the ability to react fast. Fault tolerance is the ability to maintain system up while physical and service component failures happen. Disaster recovery is the process and the design principle that allows a system to recover from natural and human induced disasters. And cloud ensures high availability through agreed level of operational uptime for your system. That's all in this video. Subscribing to channel is really going to help me. Comment below for any queries. I will respond to every comment. Also, request you to share this with your colleagues, juniors, and everyone who wants to start with cloud.